Hello, my name is Mariana, and today this is a collective reading because today is the full moon in Leo. So, because it's a collective reading, I'm doing it with my big combined deck of tarot cards and astrological oracle cards. So, here in the first part, there are only tarot cards, but I can already say that there is one card here that is peeking through the bottom of the deck from the astrological oracle deck. And it seems very significant and relevant to the message that I'm seeing here because I feel like it has to do with knowing that whatever is crumbling down, it's like there is no reason to fear something falling or something ending or something being deconstructed, because I feel like there is this rebuilding that is happening, and it feels like personal growth. It feels like rebuilding of self, rebuilding of your confidence, rebuilding of your courage, your bravery, your strength, right? It's like there is something that is ending because it's coming with a teaching that has been complete. And because now we as individuals, as part of this huge collective, now that we are experiencing this completion, this ending, old structures of belief or self-belief or even like self-esteem, these are crumbling down because they're being replaced by a new structure that is way more aligned for the new teaching to come, right? Which is so exciting because I feel like this is kind of like this upgrade in terms of leaving a mark, right? It's like coming to really build something that is going to be constructive for the collective, for like it's kind of like leaving a legacy behind, but the legacy, it's almost like the groundwork is now starting, right? So one part of that is complete because the tower is opening up this reading, and it's talking about, it's like what I heard from this card is like there is no need to fear. There is no need to fear the tower. If we think of the traditional tower as a structure crumbling down, it's like we obviously as human beings, right, in need of security and safety, especially because what I see with the tower is like home and safety. If we see that that is what is falling apart, right, maybe a kind of very stable family dynamic or family home, or like something that you can trust, right? Or that you used to trust, thinking that it would be unshakable, right? But because that is falling, it's like what I was seeing was almost like you're watching from afar. You're not necessarily in the tower that is crumbling down. You're just observing it from a distance. And because of that, there is no need to fear what is falling down, because, as I was saying, the Three of Wands is showing me this new manifestation. What you've been asking, it's like it's now coming, right? It's like this card was also in another reading recently talking about the ship that was coming in, but it was slowly approaching the shore. So at first it felt far away because the ship was feeling very small. So it's like the amount of evidence or the size of the result, or whatever it is that you ask for, in an individual level, but now as a collective, it's like the manifestation is starting to come through in a bigger way because there is now space. Because the Ace of Swords coming next, this Ace of Swords is right underneath the tower. And what this was showing me is that for this to come in, it needs to be pointed in a certain direction. What I was seeing was it's almost like a construction worker pointing the new delivery, right? It's like this is going there because now there's room, because now there is an opening. If we think of this space here, this blank space as so that's interesting because it's almost like the part that is crumbling, it's not necessarily the whole structure. It's actually making a hole. So there is an opening for the new package, the new manifestation, the new delivery to come in. You see what I mean? because the Seven of Wands is talking about how this is going to grow, right? It's like, just to me, sometimes I see this, it's like as a very quick cell development or cell growth, right? If we think of one cell that then multiplies and then divides and divides and divides, it's like this enormous growth spurt, right? So this is what I'm seeing with this. It's like, if this manifestation was feeling, or it's like if you could see only just, you know, a small piece of it on the horizon far away, because it's like you're also far away from the spot that it's like it's going to be, it's like this is going to be the cradle for this new delivery, for this new manifestation. So it needs space, right? It needs space. So therefore, it's interesting because it's coming through now with this image of a ceramist, like somebody that works with clay or like sculptures. It's like, and specifically like, because this is how I'm seeing the Ace of Swords working in between these two, right? It's like, this is like this manifestation that is starting to come in. So it's almost like the supplies are arriving. The moment that there is like this direction where it's going to be placed upon, or where it's going to live, right? It's like where this manifestation is going to be anchored. It's like it quickly starts to develop, because, and develop in a sense that the work has already been done in terms of excavating, right? It's like the ceramist. It's like the, now it's almost like this part of the excavation of, you know, bringing things from the inside out. So it's almost like ripping apart an apartment or ripping apart a home, right? It's like redoing something, redesigning, rebuilding your home in a sense, right? Because it's kind of like the shell is okay. There's nothing wrong with the outer shell. There's nothing wrong with the external structure, but the insides are going to be improved by something that you have asked for, that you have co-created, right? The three talks about co-creation to me, but it's just now, it's like maybe you had to do the demolition part before, right? But now that the structure is empty, it's like the vessel is ready to receive the new supplies and like the excavation, right? Because think of like a ceramist, like it's like they have a piece of clay, right? Like a big block of clay, and then they need to start working with the clay. But I'm seeing like specifically like removing something, right? It's like, so that the empty part is like, it's going to make this thing useful. It's going to make the tower useful. It's like the opening is making it useful. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's how it's coming through. And so that was the first part. The second part seems to be this new arrival, the co-creation that has been desired, that has been visualized, imagined, just, you know, it's like it's really working with your intention in such a powerful way that the moment that you see that the supplies are starting to come in, it's like you know exactly where to put them, because the first part of the work has been done. And because of that, it's like you have this clear direction, this clear focus, right? It's like, okay, so now that is coming in, it's like go this way. And once is, you know, inside this shell, inside the walls, inside the tower, it's protected in a sense. It has like, you know, this nourishing environment, like this homely, cozy place, right? This safe place. That's the reason why there is no need to fear it, because it's not that the whole structure is crumbling down. It's just like the necessary part that is going to serve as a doorway, right? As an opening. So the Seven of Wands, it's this like this cell division, right? This multiplication, this it's interesting because these two you know, dividing and multiplying seem to be like opposite, but here they're coming as one, because it's like the more you divide, the more you multiply. I don't know why that is, but it feels like this organic growth, because it's the manifestation. It's like, now that is here, now that is in the right place, because you have shown the place. It's like you're the one who took care of the demolition, so you know exactly where to put the supplies, right? The new stuff for this rebuilding, right? It's like the deconstruction had to happen first, so that now the reconstruction happens. And now this reconstruction feels like very speedy. It feels like it multiplies. It feels like it happens very quickly, right? So it's almost like now okay, so the hardest part of the work was to demolish it. Now the rebuilding seems to be happening very, very quickly because you have clear direction. And because of that, it's like, it's almost like it's like the things are taking care of themselves. It's almost like planting a seed. There's nothing really to do because you've done the hardest part. And it's like now you just need to use your word, right? It's like your intention here was used in a very energetic way. Here is been used, it's like it's being used with words. So your communication is magic, right? Your communication gives direction. So you need to speak the intention out loud so that this growth, it's almost like it's like a magic spell, right? Or like your words are waking up and helping this process of this cell division and multiplication so that this growth can happen. And so the more that you do so, it's almost like really remodeling your house, right? But happening actually in a very fast pace, faster than I feel like you imagine, because it's like the longest part was the demolition, not the reconstruction. The reconstruction feels very quickly because these two cards, they came together. Actually, they came together with this one. And I feel like it's almost like this lining up of, it's almost like a cause and effect type of thing. Because you know exactly where to put the things, the supplies. It's like they're quickly taking care of themselves. And I feel like this is kind of like something that you see within you, because here we have the student and here we have the teacher. This is the dynamic, and actually it repeats here. And here it's where I was seeing like this upgrade, because all of this that I'm seeing, both the deconstruction and the reconstruction, it feels kind of like this groundwork, laying the foundation. It's like doing, like preparing your vessel, preparing your space, preparing your home, preparing your reality, preparing your family, perhaps, like your outer and inner, right? Because the outer is still very much in shape. It's just the inner that was needing like this demolition so that you could rebuild yourself. So now that that is being done, it's like, you know, that there is still more stages or more phases to go, because the Knight of Pentacles, it's not really seeing, like, it's not focusing on the end result. If you're doing this process of, you know, rebuilding your life, rebuilding your family, rebuilding your home, you know that this is something that needs to be done on the inside mainly. And because you're willing to do, because it's like, you know exactly what to do, right? It's like you have this focus. You know that what is moving you, it's not reaching that end goal of finishing it all so that you can enjoy. It's like it's interesting because there is this kind of like implicit understanding in your part as the one learning a lesson, right? Because this feels like part one, or even like, you know, part one is divided in two, right? This is the reason why I'm saying it's like division and multiplication, they're one and the same. It's like the more that you divide, it's actually just multiplying. Because it's just talking about like this path that is like this continuous growth spurt, right? It's like it's going to keep on growing. It's like you will always have things to learn from this Hierophant. The Hierophant, it feels like this is the one, it's like this head coach of this phase of this. It's kind of like the one who is taking care of this supervision of the demolition and the rebuilding, right? It's like they are the engineer or the architect, right? They are, it's interesting if we think of, you know, this structure as reality. It's like they are the architects of reality in a sense. I'm just thinking of something that I heard Matthias Stefano talk about, being from the 7th dimension, I believe, or the 8th. I think it's the 7th dimension, who are known as the architects of reality. So it's kind of like that, right? This phase of deconstruction so that we could rebuild ourselves individually as part of the collective. It's like this was being overlooked or taken care or paid attention, right? And assisted, better said, assisted by the architects of reality. So a representative of these beings, right? Of these higher realms who have like this notion. So maybe there was like this guidance coming from the teacher giving you focus, right? Like as individuals, like in your personal life, in your personal structure, in your sphere, right? It's like this tower is just like your immediate sphere. It's like your personal reality, your structure. So it's like you received this clarity because of the teaching of this one, but because we are all individually coming as still the student, it's kind of like we're completing one task, right? One part of this journey, one part of this rebuilding process. And I want to say very, very hands-on in terms of the inner work, right? It's like ripping the inner parts of the tower, right? The outer shell is okay. It's like we just need to, it's almost like opening up a door to like the heart, right? To the heart space, because that's like the doorway to like our inner landscape. So it's interesting because it's like the landscape of Earth, like it's being drawn or is being designed by the architects of reality, but at the same time, it's like this landscape architect is also helping us redesign our own inner landscapes. That is so poetic. It's so gorgeous. Because I feel like as a sculptor, as a ceramist, or as like somebody that works with, you know, handicrafts, like, you know, things that we do with our own hands, it's like this is something that is very like it's the tool, right? It's like this truthful tool that gives us direction, but also in a very instinctive way, I want to say, because of all of this fire, right? The fire talks about it's the instinct of the cells to reproduce, right? To grow. So this is also within us. So it's all happening because of the teachings or the lessons or whatever this hierophant that, you know, whatever it might be for you. It could be actually, you know, a teacher. Maybe you take lessons on carpentry or building, or, you know, you're DIYing your home in a sense. It's like, so they are responsible in a sense for this first hands-on crafty part, if that makes sense. But being, you know, we are all being represented as this Knight of Pentacles. So we know that this is, you know, this is part of the human journey in a sense. This is part of this lifetime, right? How we experience this earthly realm. It's like, it's always, you know, like this work in progress type of journey, this path. And so I feel like this one, knowing and seeing the diligence, the commitment, the determination, the effort that we're all putting into this work, into this inner work, but also the outer work that also has been, you know, touched upon. It's like they are seeing this one, the architects of reality, they are seeing that we are able to be upgraded, to receive more knowledge. It's almost like that part is now complete. The tower has been restored, has been redesigned, is now updated. It's like now this hierophant is ready to hand us over, in a sense, to the guidance or to the assistance of the strength, which is, to me, like this higher self. But it doesn't feel like your higher self individually. It feels like it's almost like this embodiment of like an entity, right? It's like the head of a soul family, a soul group. It's not one individual. It's almost like if this restructuring was talking about your life, your body, yourself, your consciousness, your awareness, your reality, like in a very individual way, maybe touching just, the lives of the ones that are closely connected to you, this handing over of the Hierophant to this strength, it's actually going to, it's almost like it's going to bring within us our own creative particularities, uniqueness. It's a very, it's, how do I explain this? It's kind of like this is a mentor that has been chosen specifically for each one of us, right? The individual here represented by the knight is like each one had a teacher, right? One that was going to be very directly connecting with us, like helping us adjust and readjust or learn from this individual experience. But now that that part is complete, it's like now it's like we're, what is the word? It's kind of like graduating from a level of teachings, a level of knowledge, and then entering, like this superior level of teaching. I don't know exactly. It's almost like graduating high school and then going to college, but this doesn't feel like college. It feels it's almost like spiritual work, but it requires strength. It's not just spiritual work, I have to say, because the Four of Cups it's coming here. What this was showing me, what is the name of that thing? When a psychiatrist, nowadays it's all online, or most of it is all online, but when, we used to go in person to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, they used to have, or they do have, they still have, I think, I don't know, like these long chairs. What is it called? Chaise? I don't know. Maybe you know the word, please put on the comments if you know. It's coming through as something like a comfortable place to sit, right? So it's like this chair or this seat that this one is inviting us to sit, because it feels like maybe we didn't know that we had already progressed, that we had already like evolved so quickly, right? It's like we weren't seeing the milestones in a sense. We were just interested in doing the work, right? So it's like now the chief, right, the architect that is responsible for evaluating the progress, it's like now they're passing this message to us and saying, okay, now this part is complete and this part is beginning. So now it's like I'm going to hand you over to my boss in a sense, right? So that you can talk directly to them, whatever that means. It's just a metaphor to like this upscaling, this upgrading, access to a higher wisdom, right? And so at first, I feel like this one, in order not to overwhelm us or not to intimidate us, sometimes because this strength card is like this lion is looking straight at us, it could feel intimidating if we're not ready to face it, right? And I feel like it has to do with facing like what we have been still holding on emotionally, right? It's like here we were already distancing ourselves from the things that were physically inside the tower. So it's almost like this physical detachment, but there is a little bit of, because of the Four of Cups, right, there is a little bit of this emotional attachment that this one needs to focus first. It needs to be their first lesson, right? It's like as soon as we are now on the hands of this strength, it's like we are going to have to be strong and courageous and brave to like it's almost like sit on the pile of emotions. It's like now that we have prepared the space, it is strong, it is stable, it is reliable. the structure is not going to crumble. Like we have worked the base, right? The groundwork. It's like now the groundwork is done, but now the emotional work begins, because we're still holding some sort of emotional attachment. And this, it's like this part of the teaching, this part of the growth, this part of the development, the self-development can only be taught by this one, right? Because it's like it's going to teach us how to be strong when we have to face our own emotions, especially the ones that we are most attached to. So it's like we're going to have to sit on top of them, essentially. This is what they're saying. And so at the bottom of the deck, we have this card that was popping through, the midheaven. And this, I feel like it's the legacy, right? The midheaven is the highest point on any chart. So wherever is, perhaps you do have a midheaven in Leo, or, you know, maybe Aquarius or Taurus or Scorpio, which are these points of the quadrant, right? But it's like what they're talking about, whichever sign it is, it really doesn't matter. It matters the fact that this new phase is asking us to face whatever we have to do, like even publicly, right? Because midheaven is like our public image, like how people perceive us, like what is the mark that our work is leaving in the world. And so because of that, it's like we are essentially going to become more visible, because it is significant, right? It needs to be seen. It's like we need to be seen, so we need to have the courage to expose ourselves in a sense, and expose our emotions, perhaps. So that's interesting. But it's, you know, it's because we are being upgraded so that we can blossom and build a legacy. So I am going to pull more cards. Wow, this was a long one. I am going to pull more cards, as well as the astrological runes in the extended reading. So if you want to join me there, I'll be very happy to see you. You can find a link down below. If not, I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.